All right, so Brian, we've talked about student loans and we've talked about automobiles. Now let's talk about what's probably the single most expensive asset that anyone will buy throughout the course of their life. For most people, this is the number one thing that they will spend their money on, and it's buying a home.
Yeah, and buying a home. But we came through post-inflation. Housing has gotten very expensive. But here's the good news, and this all of my financial mutants already know this. We've always been big on the grace for your first home purchase here at the Money Guy Show. There's been pundits forever that are telling you, hey, you can't buy a home unless you can put down 20%. Yep. Those people have been left behind to the point that they've even had to update their rules because they realize, with housing going up as fast as it did, we have to amend our rules. We never had to amend because we knew. We asked all of our financial mutants that are financial advisors and even looked at our own lives, and we realized most people who are even financially minded on their first house put down 3 to 5%. So that's what we tell you financial mutants is A-okay on that first house.
Not only that, we don't say you have to do 15-year mortgages. We're okay with 30-year mortgage. We want you to make sure that you're making wise housing decisions. But the average American's not doing that. The average American right now, the average homeowner is putting 33.5% of their income towards their mortgage. That means that 1/3 of their pay is going towards their housing. Well, you can imagine when your housing is sucking away that much of your resources, it does not leave a ton for all of the other areas and goals that you may want to pursue.
Well, that's why we do. We take a little flack for the 25% housing expense, but it's so you don't end up with that house rich, life poor, where you all your money is going towards housing. And then we've even seen when you get the bigger homes, it's going to have more property taxes, it's going to have more homeowners insurance. We're trying to protect you so that you can actually have margin to enjoy your life, but also have the margin to save and invest for the future so you actually own your time that much sooner. And I know that takes a little bit of discipline. It takes a little bit of sacrifice for a period, but that's why between the 3% down payment and then giving you this guidance, we've tried to give you the best of all the worlds. And that's why if you're not taking advantage of our home buying checklist, go to moneyguy.com/resources. We give you all the steps so that you can figure out and run it through the filter of our questions to make sure that this is really what you need at this point in time.
And not only do we have the checklist where you can actually make sure, is this the right time for me to buy a home? Am I thinking through all the things I'm supposed to think through? We actually have a calculator you can use. You can go to moneyguy.com/resources and you can actually put in your information to see, okay, how much home can I afford? When it comes to making this huge life decision based on my age, my income, my circumstances, what's the right amount of home? And this single decision can have huge impacts. Let's go back to our case study. Let's think about our two individuals, Brian. We have Average Allen and we have Manny the Mutant. So let's assume that Average Allen is going to do exactly what the average American does. So Average Allen is going to put 3% down on a $443,000 home. Remember, it's doing what the average American is, putting 33% of his income towards his housing. So 3% down is going to get him in a $442,000 home. Manny, on the other hand, recognizes, hey, there are some home buying rules that I should follow. There's a checklist I should look at. I want to make sure I keep everything inside the guardrail. So I go out to moneyguy.com/resources. I use their affordability calculator, and I determine that I can put 3% down on a $321,000 home. So when you look at Allen, he's going to have almost a $2,800 mortgage. It's $2,783, which represents 33% of his gross income. When you look at Manny the Mutant, his mortgage is only going to be about $2,100, $2,083, which is 25% of his gross income. Again, we assume they both make the same incomes. We assume they're both $100,000 income households. One is just making the decision to buy a more affordable home. Well, Allen, because so much is going towards his house, he has no margin to save, no margin to invest for retirement. But Manny, recognizing that I bought an affordable home, I still have an extra $700 a month that I can begin putting towards my future, that I can begin investing. Now, you got to figure out, okay, which one made the better decision? And again, just like when it was the car, you thought, man, Allen's looking pretty good. He was in the nice, fancy car, looking like better than Manny. The same might be true when it comes to housing, because Brian, Alan bought the nicer house. And we know that houses are appreciating assets. So if you buy a more expensive house and that house appreciates, surely Alan's going to end up in a better spot, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is the part where debt is such a mirage, because in the beginning, it actually lets you look like you're more successful than you actually are. It does look like a bridge towards all your dreams, all your wishes coming available and that much sooner. But here's what we know. When you make this decision and you're not disciplined, you're not going the financial mutant, because remember, once again, same dollar amounts are going out. We did not give one more money than the other. It's just the choice, the incremental decision. One spent their money this way, the other spent their money this way. And I think a lot of people, even the person who bought this big house and spent a third of their income towards the house, they're going to feel good, maybe even in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Because that house, if we appreciated it just at traditional appreciation of inflation of 3%, that house that they bought for over $400,000 now 30 years in the future is worth close to $1.1 million.
Hot dog millionaire right here. Net worth millionaire for average Alan at this point.
Yeah, but it's all in their house. Yes, it's a paid for house. It's a millionaire. They are a millionaire on paper. Manny the Mutant, and we're going to be honest. We're going to tell you, hey, because it was a smaller home, it didn't appreciate. It's just the law of numbers. This is the way math works. House is only worth about $800,000. So you're looking at this, and average Alan is feeling pretty smug and feeling really good. Now, here's where the difference is. Manny has been letting his army of dollar bills building the background. So not only does he have a paid for $800,000 house, but he has slowly but surely been investing that $700 a month. And guys, that money is now worth over $1 million. That's incredible.
So then when you think about their total net worth, when you just take average Alan's value of his home, yes, he's a millionaire, but it's all in his house, and you cannot eat the house. When you look at Manny's terminal net worth here, not only does he have an $800,000 house, but when you add that to his $1 million portfolio, his terminal net worth is almost $1.9 million. That difference, that $1 million difference by the time that they got to retirement can be huge when it comes to what their retirement lifestyle actually looks like.
Well, you think about it, because even though Alan is a millionaire on paper, his net worth statement, if he wants to start eating the house or living off the house, he either has to take off more debt or he has to move and downgrade into a smaller house so he can actually start consuming that equity. That's not a great decision. Nope. And those are all hard decisions because change is hard. Meanwhile, Manny, because he's built up a million, almost a $1.1 million portfolio, it actually perpetually, for the rest of his life, could generate $43,000 a year of income off the $1.1 million. And then when he passes away, he's still going to be able to pass away $1.1 million of assets to people he loves, plus his $1 million house, because that $800,000 will eventually become a $1 million house. Guys, this is why we want your money working for you, because when it's all just use assets, it's hard to actually get off the labor train where you actually own your time. You want your assets actually working harder than you can. I've said it before, your back, your brain, your hands, but you at some point have to actually start making the behavioral decision of investing to create that automatic millionaire status so your money and your army of dollar bills can do that heavy lift.
But all of these decisions are difficult. They require discipline. That's why one of the 3 ingredients of wealth creation is discipline. It's something you have to exercise in terms of your consumption behavior. You make a decision to consume one thing instead of another.